you people? Hello, 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 hello. Hi there. Hi, 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 hi. How are you all there? It's me, Anastasia MacDonald, here to share my life story with you. Yes, I'm still waiting for people to come online. Yep. Hello there. My name is Anastasia MacDonald, and I'm here live finally to share my life story. Yes, I promised that I would do it, and here I am. I am excited and I'm looking forward to taking you on a journey with me from where I used to be to where I am today. Yes, so I can't wait for all of you to come on board to hear my story. Woohoo! Can't wait. I can't wait to see who are those that coming online. Hello there. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anastasia MacDonald, and I'm here to share my life story with you. I'm here to share my life. Hello, Fisaya. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming on and for taking the time out. Thank you. Thank you, Lady Nkuru. So nice to have you on board. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me this afternoon. Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anastasia MacDonald, and I'm here live on Facebook for the first time to share my story with you, to share where the Lord has taken me from to where I am today. Hello, hello, good afternoon. I hope you've got your safety belts on because sometimes the journey will be a rocky one. Good afternoon, Patty. So lovely to have you on board. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me. I'm so excited. Yes, I'm slightly nervous, but guess what? It's going to be worth the wait because I know that all of you have been waiting and wondering, what is this lady about? What is she? Sweet 16, so are you? Oh. Thank you, 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 thank you. So, um, as more of you come on board, I just want to keep on introducing myself so that we all know where we are. My name is Anastasia MacDonald. I'm here live on Facebook for the first time. I know I have kept many of you waiting, and I can't wait to share my story with all of you. But basically, let me start. Let me just start. Let me just give you an introduction. It's not the first time I wanted to share my life story. It hasn't been the first time. I've heard messages from other leaders, pastors about sharing your story. But there was one day, hi Tina, there was one day I was listening to one of the most amazing and brilliant coaches and mentor that God has placed in my life, Dr. Sandy Edelaja. He was teaching on the topic, you are not an afterthought. Now, by the way, Pastor Sandy Edelaja comes twice a day on Facebook, and he does teaching sessions, and you don't want to meet these sessions. No, you don't. And he comes on in the morning at 7:30 a.m. and in the evening at 7 o'clock. I will give you details later. So anyway, I was listening in to the teaching session, and the topic that day was, you are not an afterthought. And he began to teach us how every one of us is so unique. Every one of us is special. Every one of us has a special story. And those stories obviously are, to varying degrees, are, filled with sorrow, sadness, grief, happiness, and you know what. And that we are not supposed to be, hiding these stories. We're not supposed to be hiding, especially the dark side. Every one of us has the dark side of us, the sorrow, you know. And anyway, as I listened and I listened, and it was the way he he it was the way he demonstrated our individual uniqueness, and it was the way he gave expression to what each each and every one of us had. It was the way, basically, it was the way he came across to us, and it really touched my heart. And it made me sit down and think, Anastasia, you may think that you don't have anything special. You may not have anything on a celebrity status, but actually, you really do have something that nobody else does have. And so the more I listened, and I thought, okay, Anastasia, you know what? This is the time. And so after the teaching session, I said, Anastasia, this is the time. Hello, Esther. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me this afternoon. My name is Anastasia MacDonald, and I'm here to share my life story, chapter 1. Every one of us has a story. You have a story. It may be a horrible story. It may be a good story, but every one of us has a story. And my life story is made up of 3 main chapters. 3 main chapters. Now, you may not have thought about it, but you as well, your life is made up of chapters as well, But I did some homework. I did a bit of homework, not today, it's been a while, and I noticed that my life is made up of 3 main chapters. Can you believe it? So you may see me looking down. I'm referring to my notes so that I stay focused and I'm cohesive. So anyway, let me start. Yes, this is the time. This is a hello, Eukaria. What a lovely name. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me. Thank you so much. Anyway, so chapter 1 is life in the UK from 0 to 9 years. The chapter 1 of my life is about my life in the UK from 0 to 9 years. And then the chapter 2 of my life is life in Ghana from the year of 9 years to 27 years old. So chapter 2 is life in Ghana from the year of 9 years to 27 years. And then chapter 3 is the life in the UK. Thank you, Kiro. Thank you, sweet sister. Thank you. Good afternoon. And so, chapter 3 is life in the UK from 27 years to my current year, which is 53. So I am 53 years old. So I have chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. So today is all about the chapter 1 of my life from 0 to 9 years in the UK. I was born in the UK. So let's get started. Let's get started, everyone. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, my darling. Hello, my queen. How are you? To all of you. Hello, hello. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start the first chapter which is from 0 to 9 years. Now, my mom and dad, they originally come from Ghana, as you may have guessed. And so when my dad married my mom, he came to the UK. He moved to the UK from Ghana in the early 60s. And it wasn't too long afterwards, he arranged for my mother to join him. So mom and dad ended up here in the UK. Now, let me tell you something. You may know this or you may not know this, but life in the UK was not a walk in the park. It was very difficult. It is not all the experiences that we are enjoying today. No. It wasn't like that. There was a lot of social prejudice and racial discrimination at the time. There was not a lot of things going on for Black people. My dad came over to the UK to study. Yes, he came to study to better himself. So here they were, a young couple in the UK in a very, difficult time, trying to make the best of themselves. And anyways, against my parents' best judgment, or as any couple would, hasn't thought careful about things, my mom fell pregnant. My mom fell pregnant. And so at the time, it was like, okay, what are we going to do? Look at our environment, look at the challenges there. What are we going to do? So they decided, this was not the best environment, so we're going to have to get rid of the pregnancy. Yes. So they decided that they were going to get rid of the pregnancy, And like I said, during the time, life for the Black people, it was not a walk in the park. Things were really, really tough. And so at the time, they had a small Ghanaian community. What I'm telling you right now, I forgot to tell you, what I'm telling you right now are events that were revealed to me late in my 30s. I didn't know this, and as I take you on subsequent videos, you will understand certain things that I will share with you. So I got to find this about my life in my late 30s. So anyways, my dad did some homework, and there was a small Ghanaian community, and was able to discover or find or locate a doctor who could do the abortion. So anyway, I don't know when or what date it was, but what we know is they went and to get the abortion done, and the abortion was done. People, beautiful people, the abortion was done. And so hi hubby, I can see my hubby has joined me online. Thank you, honey bunny, I love you so much. Anyway, so yes, the abortion was carried out, and my parents returned home. They had done it, and life goes on. Good afternoon, Justin. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Good morning, Fleur. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So glad to have you on board. And Chisandra, thank you as well. Thank you for coming on. So I'm at this place. So they went and had the abortion done and came back home, and life was supposed to carry on. However, I'm not sure how long, but what did happen was my parents discovered that my mom was still pregnant. Guess what? The hand of the Lord prevented the abortion, even though the abortion was carried out, but God supernaturally saved me. I lived. Now, this is where the story gets a bit interesting and tricky. Good afternoon, Molly. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming on board. Thank you for taking time of your busy schedule. So my parents noticed that my mom was still pregnant. And at this time, actually, like I said, this story I'm sharing with you right now, I found out at the age of, I think, 38 or 39 years. And it explained many things that I didn't understand at the time. Anyway, so when my dad discovered that I was still pregnant, he said to me that if God has allowed me to live, then there must be something special about me. There must be something special about me. And so at that time, he made a covenant with God. Now, my dad is not a Christian. He's not a Christian per se. He's a nominal Christian. Actually, he's a Catholic. He's a nominal Catholic. He doesn't, even up to date, he's still a Catholic. He doesn't go to church. They believe in saying this and saying that. But anyway, at that time, he went to God and said, God, since you have allowed this child to live, I am going to call her in, which I'm going to explain, my African name. I'm going to call her, God, this child is your responsibility. I'm going to call her Enyamisem. Enyamisem means God. I'll explain it like the Ghanaian way or the Nigerian way. God, it be your matter. This shall be your matter. She be your matter. Oh, if you have let her live, she be your matter. But I'm not Nigerian, so I'm not saying it the way that you would say. But essentially, well, God, if you have allowed her to live, then she is your responsibility. Anyway, so mom had me, after 9 months, and I was named Anastasia Efia Enyamisem Oteng. My dad's my maiden name, surname is Oteng, Oteng, and he named me Anastasia after the Saint Anastasia. Remember, he's Catholic, and so he has this spiritual thing. I know that was God was working through him. Obviously understanding was not there yet. Good afternoon, Janet. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today I'm talking about my life story, chapter 1. Anyway, people, so he named me Anastasia after Saint Anastasia, and then the Ifya is the African name you give to a girl born on Friday. In Africa, there's a day for every day of the week for the girl as well as for the boy. So if you're born on a Friday, you're called Ifya. So I have Anastasia, then I have Ifya, then I had the Enyamisem, which is the God, this child is your responsibility. So here I am, born, but guess what? Life was, like I said, was not a walk in the park, and life was tough. And for what I gather from my dad, as early as I was in the 0 years, so the month, I ended up being given to a white nanny. Now this is not the nanny where today where you take your child to the nanny and you go and pick them up. No, this was like nanny, you leave the child there. I don't know all the circumstances relating to my mom that it got to that point, and I really don't care, because you know what, you do what you need to do, in whatever circumstance you find yourself. And I don't judge my mom. I am what I am today because of the things that happened to my life, and I'm grateful to God. Anyway, so I ended up being with this white nanny who was essentially looking after me. And don't forget, my dad was studying, so I was there. Then it wasn't too long, I don't know how long, which my dad got a letter from her. I was trying to look for the letter today, but I just couldn't find it. It's somewhere in my stuff. I wanted to read you the letter to you. The nanny one day wrote a letter to my dad and said, "Dear Mr. Ting, your daughter is getting sick all of the time, and I can't help you out, and she's having diarrhea, and please come and pick your daughter. Come and take your daughter back." And so from my dad, I understood that I was given to a couple of nannies. This was between the month section of my life, Then we moved to the next bit. So after that, I was then taken to a foster home. I was taken to a foster home. Now this foster home is in a place called Lincoln, Sturton by Stowe. Lincoln, Sturton by Stowe. I was moved to this woman. She's a white lady. She was in her late 50s, I think. Late 50s, I can remember. And she was looking after Black children of diaspora. So I wasn't the only one who was there. And that was what was going on during those days. So people from Africa who came to study found themselves in this same predicament, and how to give up their children to white people to look after. It just didn't work out, And so actually, which you won't believe it, these were Nigerian children. These were Nigerian children that were there. And so I ended up in a foster home with a white foster mother, and that became my home. It became, my identity. Now, I do remember having a couple of visits from my dad. My dad will come and visit, but I don't remember too much of my mother. Bless her. My mom is still alive, and she's very strong in the Lord. But I don't remember too much of my mom. Then later on, a brother came along and a sister came along. So there were 3 of us in this foster home with other Nigerian children. Now, I believe that when the the decision for the abortion was taken. I cannot prove it, but I've heard about it. I believe that the spirit of rejection had been planted in my life, which which I will talk about in subsequent videos. Anyway, so I'm here in this foster home with other Black children. Now, this foster home, if I can remember, was situated next to a vicarage on the hill. Now, the word vicarage probably is not something you will hear in today's language, but it was next to a vicarage on my left hand. I can picture right now a vicarage which was set on a slight hill, and when I look back, that was the first time of my spiritual, I can say, spiritual awakening, being awakened to that there is something like a God out there. And then secondly, my foster mother, I forgot to mention her name. Her name was Miss Vera Christie. Miss Vera Christie. And she was Catholic as well. Can you imagine? Can you imagine God? Our life is not an accident. If you study it carefully, God's hand is always upon our life. Anyway, so she was a Catholic, a staunch Catholic. And so, yes, we had this house. There were lots of cats. That's the one thing I hated with a passion, the cats. There were cats in the house. She had lots of cats, probably about 10 cats. And then she had a donkey. She had this lovely meadow at the back of the house. And then she also had a caravan. And so there we were. That was life for us, growing up there. And I was a very quiet person. You see me talking to you today? Do you see me talking to you today? I was extremely quiet. I didn't know how to talk. And the issues around my life also had made me quiet as well. Anyway, so like I said, this was my home. I vaguely saw my dad, and then school started. This is where the forming of, what do you call it, the twisting of the mindset, because during those times, don't forget, Blacks, you were not seen as human beings. The bullying started. White people would come close up to me and be looking behind me for my tail. They actually believed that Black people had tails. They did. They actually believed that Black people had tails, and they would call me monkey. They will call me and my siblings monkey all the time. So look at the circumstances of the time. I was a very quiet person, and then the bullying was going on. There was nobody there to to counteract, because it was the norm. It was just the norm. And so I became more inward. I grew more into my shell. I was very quiet. There were a lot of things going in my head, though. There were a lot of communication in my head, but it was not something that I could verbalize. It was not something that I could verbalize. And then there was because my foster mother had a donkey. There was I tell you our story. There was this man, this white man. He was probably in his, I don't know, 40s, who would come to look after the donkey. He would come up to look after the donkey. And then what did transpire after a while? This is the first time I'm sharing this live. He set out to abuse me. And I'm not talking, I'm not talking about mental abuse. I'm talking about sexual abuse. Even though there was no sexual intercourse, he had me doing stuff that I didn't want to do. This is the first time. This is the real factor. This is my life. This is my story. The only person that knows this up to now is my husband and very close friend. But you know what? This is my life. This is my story. I'm gonna be real with you, and then you will appreciate what God has done in my life. So it was especially during the summertime. Hi, Nikki. Especially during the summertime that he would take advantage of me. And what could I do? Who was I? I was this this child, this frail, quiet, intimidating child, what could I do? So I had to go along with it. I couldn't tell my foster mother. I could not tell anybody. It was a secret between him and me. So life continued, and it was just horrible. And I noticed that I used to wonder during those times, what is it so what is it about me? Why is my life so different? Why there's something that seems to be missing? What is it? Why am I here? Many times I would ask myself, are my parents really my parents? Or maybe I was adopted. Maybe I was adopted. I used to ask myself that, I used to ask, am I really my parents' daughter? Because something just is not right here. Something just doesn't add up. The party seems to be going on over there all the time, but I'm not part of this. I'm not part of this, and that's how I grew up. Anyways, so um hmm. Good afternoon, Olenka. Thank you for joining me this afternoon to listen to my life story, to share with you where I was to where I am today. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with me. Anyways, so I'm at that place where the abuse was going on. The abuse was actually, even with my foster mother, she was abusive herself. Not abusive sexually, but she had a temper, a violent temper. And I just want to stop here and speak to all mothers. And I just want to beg you, all mothers out there, please do not be in a hurry to dump your children with a childminder. Please don't do it. Please do not be in a hurry to dump your children with the aim of developing your career. This is me. I'm just advising you. This is me. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. So much happens behind the scenes that you don't know. Yes, there are good childminders out there. This abuse was going on. My dad didn't know about it. My foster mother didn't know. Nobody else knew about it. But like I said, my foster mother was abusive as well. I remember there was one incident where I can't remember what it is my brother did. I don't remember what he did. But I remember this as it was like yesterday, that my foster mother, Miss Christie, took my brother, laid him across her laps, took the toilet brush and thrashed his bottom to the point that there were blood particles coming out of his bum. You know what a toilet brush is like. So it's, you've got many single brushes coming out. And she was whacking his bum to, tiny droplets of blood were coming out of his bum. Did my dad know about it? No. If he does know about it, if he does watch this video, then this will be the first time that he's hearing about it. This is the first time he's hearing about it. And this was the abuse that was going on. Another thing was food. I remember I used to be hungry all the time. We were not fed well. We were not clothed well. One day, if I can find, I'm going to show you a picture of my hair. Now, you know that our African hair is curly and nappy. Today you can see me, I've got locks on. And I've had my locks for, I think, 4 years now. But those days, what does a white woman know about black hair? If you should have seen some of my pictures, my hair, you may either laugh or you may either cry. It was so messy and so knotted. It is unbelievable. My dad told me that the times that he would come and visit and see my state, he would end up crying all the way back home, to, where he lived in London. Anytime he came to visit and see the situation that we were in, it just broke his heart. But at that time, there was nothing they could do. And guess what? There were a lot of children in that home. So that should tell you the situation in the 60s for people, for parents that moved from either Jamaica, the Caribbean, or Nigeria. If you can find anybody that is in their 50s and they were born here and were in a foster home, that was the predicament. And so my hair was really, really messy and nappy and all that. So I did not have a good start in life. Now, little did I know that my mind was seriously being messed up. It was serious being warped. I'm telling you what I know today. What I know today, I didn't know then. I didn't know that at that time, the tender age of 0 to 9 are the formative years. I didn't know that those years are so protective that, as a mother or a father, those are the formative. You need to be careful with where you put your children. You need to be careful, And so by the age of 9, my mind was so messed up. Anyways, let me just fast forward. Now, around the age of 8 and 9, my mom and my dad had separated. So my mom had moved back to Ghana for whatever reasons, and I don't judge her. She had moved back to Ghana. The relationship didn't work. And it was when my dad came to visit that he just could not cope with what he saw with the three of us. And yeah, he just couldn't cope with what he saw with us. But anyway, I hope I'm being cohesive here because this is my first time, so please bear with me. One day in school, I had the head teacher call me to his office. Now, I remember his name to date. His name was Mr. Glover. Mr. Glover. Mr. Glover called me to his head office, and I remember that he was the one that said, Anastasia, your parents are going to be taking you to Ghana, you and your siblings. And yeah, that was it. As a 9-year-old, that is what I heard. That's what went through my mind. That's what went through my ears. And we're going to take you, yeah, your dad is going to take you out to Ghana. Do you know that my dad never, ever told us that this is what he was going to be doing? Never ever told us. Now, please, like I said, I'm going to be doing subsequent videos. Please remind me concerning this, what I've just told you, the incident in the head teacher's room, because something unfolds which is not pleasant at all. Well, it's good and it's bad. And so one day, true to the head teacher's word, we found ourselves on a plane, not with my dad, but with the proverbial aunt and uncle, with my dad saying, this is your aunt, this is your uncle, and you're going to be with your mom. There obviously there are a lot of details involved, but I can't remember all of them. We're talking about my life story, chapter 1, in the UK, 0 to 9 years, for those of you who joined on late. And so the three of us found ourselves on a plane. And then I remember the name of the plane. The plane was called London Dan Air. How can a young person remember the name of the plane? This should tell you that children may not be able to speak. Don't underestimate your children. They see a lot of things are registering in their mind, but they may not be able to express it. Yes, I remember that plane has gone out of what you call it, but it was London Dan Air. And we were put on this plane, like I said, and introduced to this this couple as uncle and aunt, and we got, got on the plane. And I remember being on the plane, or scared, frightened, and I remember vomiting. I remember vividly, I vomited over somebody. Someone was sitting, I don't know whether I don't know if it was my aunt or my uncle, but I do remember the vomiting. It was so bad. It was so bad. And guess what? We found ourselves in Ghana. In Ghana. What a shock. What a shock. It's bad enough not growing up with your parents. It's bad enough being put with multiple nannies. It's bad enough, being put in a foster home and not seeing your parents. It's bad enough going to school and being called a monkey, and for the children looking behind you for a tail, and perhaps you thinking, maybe I am a monkey. But then the cultural shock that was waiting for us in Ghana was beyond expression. It was beyond expression. It's beyond expression. And I remember when we landed and went through the customs and everything, which I don't remember actually. I don't remember the customs, but obviously you'd have to go through the customs. And I remember seeing my mom afar off, and the look on her face. The look on her face it wasn't joy. It wasn't, woohoo, my children are here. But I guess it was, it represented pain, fear. What am I going to do with these 3 children? How am I going to look after them? I think it represented the failure of her past, or whatever it is that went on when she was with Dad in London. But you see, I can tell you right now that I can vividly see the expression of our mind. And that's why I'm saying to you, mothers and future mothers, please don't be in a hurry to dump your children with a childminder or anybody else. Do your best to look after them yourself. I'm just saying. Anyway, so here we were in Ghana. I'm going to stop here because that's going to be chapter 2 of my story. Chapter 2 of my story. That's going to be chapter 2 of my story. And that's going to be from 9 to 27 years. So that is a long gap. That's a big gap there. And it is between this year, the year 9 and 27, where a lot of stuff happens. You're going to need your safety belts, because guess what? It's going to get rocky. Somebody says I shouldn't stop, but please let me stop. Let me gather myself, because you know what? I didn't realize it. It's bringing up emotions. It's bringing up emotions. And I want to be able to gather myself, and I want to be able to tell my story properly. I promise you, I will not hide anything. I promise you to tell you the full story, nothing but the truth, because my desire is that somebody will be encouraged, somebody will be helped, somebody will be able to laugh, somebody will stop crying, somebody will say, well, okay, if it's happened to Anastasia and she's able to do this life story, then I can do it too. Then my story is not messy after all. I mean, my story, I can do it too. There is hope for the future, So please allow me to stop here. and let me gather myself for the next, which will be next week Saturday at the same time. So next week Saturday is the what is next week Saturday? Today is what? The 12th, 19th. It's the 19th. It'll be next week Saturday, November at 2 p.m. exactly 2 p.m. and I will be sharing the next part and other videos will be following. Thank you so much, all of you, for taking the time to listen to me. Thank you, Martins. Thank you, Ojolape. Please forgive me if I don't pronounce your name properly because I'm Ghanaian. Thank you, Foma. Thank you, my lovely sisters, my Facebook sisters. Oh, thank you for this new family. I really, really love you. Thank you, Elizabeth. I mean, I don't know who else is out there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul. Thank you all of you who taking time to come on board to listen to me, and I hope you've been encouraged. So I'm going to stop here and say, oh, I forgot to mention, like I said to you, I've had teachers, other people encouraged to share our stories, but ever since I met, not physically but on Facebook, ever since I came under Pastor Sunday Adelaja, OMG, thank you, Jesus, my life has gone like and he is an amazing coach. He is an amazing teacher. He is an amazing mentor. Do you want to do what I'm doing? Sit on his teaching. So he comes on Facebook Live on his page, Dr. Sunday Adelaja, in the mornings at 7:30 and in the evenings at 7 p.m. UK time. You do not want to miss his teachings. If you're looking for transformation, if you're looking for encouragement, if you're looking for upliftment, if you're looking to be who God has created you to be, then without any apologies, Dr. Sunday Adelaja is the man. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.